Welcome to As I Live and Grieve, a podcast that tells the truth about how hard this is. We're glad you joined us today. We know how hard it is to lose someone you love and how well-intentioned friends and family try so hard to comfort us. We created this podcast to provide you with comfort, knowledge, and support. We are grief advocates, not professionals, not licensed therapists. We are you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back again to As I Live and Grieve. I hope you're all doing well today, or as well as can be expected. We know grieving is tough. Yes, you know it. I have another terrific guest, but boy, is there a real surprise for you today in this guest and in this episode. With me today is Barb McIntosh. Hi, Barb. Thanks for coming along.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I am excited beyond words to have you here. Barb is a sound healer, but I'm going to let her tell you. Barb, would you just share with our listeners a little bit of your background?
Oh, my background, goodness. I was the black sheep of my family. I grew up in a scientific family, being a full-on empath and a highly sensitive person, and that was not fun at times. I spent most of my earlier adult life working with teenagers, a lot of high-risk teenagers. And then probably about 15 years ago, I felt called. I'd always liked Tibetan singing bowls.
Yeah.
And I felt called at 15 years ago. I just kind of out of the blue felt called to learn how to heal with the singing bowls. I'd always had one or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I set an intention out for a teacher and no teacher came. I Googled sound healing on the internet 15 years ago. There was nothing, not very much, a few little sites, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, oh, well, okay, I'll just get some bowls and play around. And then I play very intuitively. And so I'm very connected to spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And the spirit or source or whatever you want to call it sends me messages. And so I got this, and then it happens in my browser, like I'm on a site and I'm doing something, all of a sudden it refreshes and I'm somewhere else. So that happened one day, and there was a book by a guy from India about using Tibetan singing bowls to heal. So I ordered it. And then, it gave like a little, sort of different ways that you could use the bowls. So I started to do that, and I started to work with clients. And then I remembered that there was a CD in the back of the book, and I thought maybe I should listen to it to see if I was doing it right. and I was gonna, and I was sort of like playing along with like when the recording started, and I was playing exactly like the recording was. And then this is another long story, but I won't say it. But at one point, I had a little crash, and one of my bowls that I used every day was broken.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sound right, so I went back to the place where I got my bowls, and I was, testing bowls. They were chakra bowls, so they had to be a certain note. And interestingly enough, the Tibetans, when they send the singing bowls or from places in India who make them, they're almost always the note that's tuned to the heart chakra and the root chakra. I find very interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went to the shop, and I'd never seen a gong in that shop ever before. And I looked around. I could not find a bowl that was going to match mine. But when I was playing, I played the broken one and then another one to see if they matched. And when I played the broken one, after about half an hour, it all of a sudden, it somehow healed itself, I believe. And it was back to playing its proper note.
Wow.
And so when that happened, I was sort of bent over the bowl, and I looked up, because then I thought, I'm here for some other reason, right? I'm here for something else. And I looked up, and there was a gong on the wall, and I was like, oh, cool. I've never played a gong before.
Right.
But that'd be fun. And it was like $75 or something. So I bought it. And again, I had no clue. I had to go, actually, that time I went on YouTube and watched some of the videos by some of the great gong players to learn how to play. And it ended up, I took it back because it had scratches on it. And I had gone to a music store for a tripod because I didn't even know how to hang it on anything, or came with like a little mallet. But and I went to the music store, and I was looking at I decided to get a cymbal stand and just hang the gong sideways, right? And again, when I looked up from looking at all of these stands, there were like 4 wind gongs on the wall.
Wow.
And I never have seen wind gongs before or after in that music store. They don't tend to carry them, right? So anyway, I got 2 of them, and then from then on, I was playing gongs. And over the years, I accumulated various other harmonic instruments. In order to do sound healing well, what you need to play is the harmonic instruments. And that means instruments that make more than one note at the same time.
Okay. All right.
So if I have a piano in front of me and I press one key on the piano,
Right.
it makes one note.
Right.
If I take my mallet and I hit the gong, it makes tens of thousands of notes.
At the same time?
At the same time, yes.
Why doesn't it sound like 10,000 different notes?
Because they're so close together that you only hear some of them, but you hear them, or at least I do. I don't know how my clients hear them, really, but when I play and when I'm hearing them, it's like waves. It's like when you hear the waves coming in on the beach from the ocean. Do you know what note that is? No, there's no note.
No.
And do you know how that changes from second to second, right? When you're listening to
Right.
it,
Right.
it's going,
yeah.
And you're getting and that's what all of the harmonic instruments do.
Oh.
The singing bowls do that. Now the singing bowls tend to have a bass frequency and a high frequency particular to that bowl, but you still get
right.
A lot of harmonics.
Boy,
so
it's
kind of like it's kind of like if you stuck to I don't know 1,000 pianos in the same room and then had people play every single key all at the same time. Now that probably would sound horrific.
It would.
for the sound healing instruments, that is the power and the beauty of them.
Wow.
Because they all do that. The crystal bowls do that. I have a steel tongue drum that's tuned to the solfeggio scale, which is ancient healing scale that we only hear really these days if you listen to Gregorian chants. Okay. But that's why they're so beautiful, because those are our harmonics, and it's a beautiful drum. I have amazing chimes, all those things, right?
So to you, are they instruments or are they vessels?
That's a wonderful question. To me, they are living beings.
Okay. All right.
Part of the sort of quantum physics that's underneath sound healing is that everything that is matter is made up of frequency. Okay. A vibration. Okay. And these instruments, so everything has a vibration, even a mountain does. A mountain's vibration is very low, very dense. Wow. We don't hear any sound, but it still has a vibration. Crystals have vibrations, as anybody who's worked with them knows. Right. All of those things. Animals, the earth has its own frequency, and our bodies vibrate, our cells vibrate. Okay. And what happens when you play the harmonic, when I play the harmonic instruments for people is, and I'll do one quantum physics thing. So there's a law in quantum physics, which is called the law of entrainment. And what that means is if there's two things that are vibrating close to each other, like in proximity, the one with the most powerful sound, not the loudest necessarily, but most powerful sound, will draw the frequency of the other object up to its own frequency. Wow. And that was discovered apparently by a guy in, I think, France in the 1600s. Don't quote me on that, but he put a whole bunch of pendulum clocks, the old pendulum clocks with the tick-tock, in a room. And they were all different sizes, and they were all kind of, the pendulums were going back and forth at all different times. Okay. And when he came back in the morning, all of the clocks were going tick-tock,
all the same.
All the same, and to the rate of swinging, to the frequency of the largest clock.
Oh my goodness.
And we as women know it's why. I mean, why do our periods are so
exactly
with the moon?
Exactly.
Does that happen? It's frequency. Right. And so these harmonic instruments, the power of so many notes all at the same time. That's where what you want is as many notes as you can.
Right.
Right. And what happens in our body, there's a certain range of frequency that our cells vibrate and our body vibrates at. And and our thoughts and our feelings, because they're created in our brain as electrochemical impulses, they have a frequency too. And so just for an example, hate is down about 25 hertz. Same frequency as cancer, by the way. Cancer cells.
Oh dear.
Love is at 500. Joy is way up over 800.
Okay, I'm going beyond excited now. Let me just tie in for the listeners again. The reason sound healing intrigues me so much is that the very first time I ever heard a singing bowl I had been in a crystal shop, and I bought a few crystals, and before I left, they put them near the bowl and they had it produce a sound to purify the crystals before they left the shop from all the hands that had previously touched them. this sound emanated from this bowl and gave me chills. I'm getting chills just thinking about it again. And it just made me feel, I really can't even put into words, and I'm a writer, and so that's really sad, but I can't put into words what emotion it provoked in me. But then I started listening to some of the different singing bowls and some gongs and everything like that. And each one of them provoked a feeling, a sensation inside of me.
Ah,
So I started to wonder and think and believe that sometimes when you are suffering, and we're thinking of grief because of course that's the topic of the podcast,
yep,
but those sensations that you're feeling, the devastation, the anger, the just, why did this happen? That there are sounds, there are instruments, there are vessels, there are things that might help alleviate those symptoms. So I want to
totally.
emphasize that that's what I'm going for. And that's what I want to share with every listener today
Yeah,
is maybe they will listen and hear a sound that really makes them feel something. And maybe they will explore something that will give them some relief. So can we hear
exactly.
some sounds?
They will. I have some podcasts of my own that I do online, and
Okay.
I play. I mean, when I play, just to, I would just want to say this before I play.
Uh-huh.
When I play intuitively. So going back to your question about what do I consider my instruments to be, they are the healing beings for me,
Okay.
and I'm actually the instrument. So what I do is I channel the energy of my client or clients
Mm-hmm.
or the
Mm-hmm.
podcast. I would be channeling the energy of everybody who's listening to this podcast, if it's
Okay.
live, or who's going to listen to it in the future. I channel that through to the instruments, and they come back with the sounds that will
Okay.
go to those people listening
Okay.
and heal go to whatever needs healing. I mean,
All
the
right.
only, there's that saying about only the body can heal. So sound healing goes into our body in a physical sense, in a vibration
Mm-hmm.
sense. And what happens when I play, no matter what my intention is or the person listening, and I can play, the gongs and the bowls for like a whole lot of people, and they
Mm-hmm.
can all have different intentions for healing. And that will happen because the sounds, there's so many, the sounds and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, frequencies of sound, but the sounds will go to wherever in your body
Okay.
needs to be healed.
Wow.
And when we're feeling grief, it, as you know, I mean, it has an effect on our body.
Yes, it
It has an
does.
effect on our thoughts, and thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. But, it has an effect. And so there tends to be a lowering. I mean, grief is a lower level frequency.
Right.
And so it tends to sort of pull some of the cells down in parts of our body that are the weakest.
Okay.
For me, that usually happens in my lungs, and that's close to my heart and my
Mm-hmm.
heart chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you start to get different, physical ailments too.
Okay.
But you can heal your feelings and your thoughts. You can have them healed with the sounds. And
Wow.
I'll tell you one thing that you'll think is really very cool. I was doing this course in the spring with a researcher in Britain who's been studying sound, and he's kind of one of the inventors of cymatics, when you
Mm-hmm.
can see the visual pictures
Mm-hmm.
of sounds. And he was talking about in the body, and he said, like, every cell in our body, there's little photons or whatever, I don't know, inside the cell, and they bounce off each other because they're always moving. And when they bounce off the wall, the wall of a cell, they create sound.
Mm-hmm.
And that sound creates infrared light. And that's how our cells communicate with each other. But to me, the idea that every single cell in my body is singing all the time,
Oh.
making sound and light. And that's why sound and light right now and in the next couple of decades is going to be the biggest healing modality, because you can heal with sound and light.
I am enthralled. I'm
It's
enthralled.
I love it. I love it. I mean, and
Yeah.
people have so many different reactions, but when you're feeling grief, like, so what the sounds will do when I play, no matter what you're trying to heal or want to heal or whatever, or if somebody dragged you to my sound bath and you didn't really want to come, it still happens. So what the instruments do is they basically put our bodies into deep, deep relaxation.
Okay.
Almost everybody who's in a sound bath with me for longer than like 10 or 15 minutes
Mm-hmm.
snores.
Really?
But you're still awake and aware. But it's just that your entire body has just gone deeply, deeply relaxed.
I have
And
to
your
experience
mind,
this. Yeah.
yes, yes. Well, and your mind goes into the delta theta waves that people meditate for 25 years to get to. And all of that happens when I'm playing for you online now, because that's the best way to reach people.
Sure.
And you're cozied up in your bed or on a nice chair. You're lying back with a blanket on you, and you got headphones on, and it will happen to you. And you get into it, puts your body and your mind then into that still point, right? Which is almost silence. Lots of times when people are in a longer sound bath, like a 30-minute or an hour, well, that's the two lengths that I do. They'll miss instruments. And everybody I play for, they have their favorite instruments, they have their favorite gong, and they like the crystal bowl is better than the singing or vice versa.
Right.
And lots of times when they sort of, come back to themselves at the end of the session, they'll be like, you didn't play the crystal bowls. And I would say, well, yes, I did. Well, I didn't hear them. So sometimes people will miss just an instrument or two. And I had a client I played for last week, and he went out after when I was playing the singing bowls, which is always what I play first. He didn't hear anything else. And he was all upset. And I said, no, you went like into such deep relaxation that sound stops when you're in the still point. And that is the point of healing. Okay. And that's where we can't get to when we have grief, because our mind is busy churning out all the stories and memories and all that. And that's creating feelings that are low frequency and heavy, and that's creating,
and that's what holds you down and just keeps you on the sofa.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, and then you can't get off the couch for like years and years and years, and then you beat yourself up because you can't get off the couch. So it's a way of just having that, like that little vacation.
Everything. Take me on vacation. Take me on vacation. It's like that.
All right.
Calgon, take me away.
Do you want what I do on my other podcast is I play sort of 5 to 10 minutes so you get a chance to hear all of the sounds. So I can do that. And then we can talk about, that you can ask me sort of how does that instrument work or whatever.
Okay. That sounds great.
All right. So I'm going to turn my music sounds on. Okay. So usually at the beginning of when I'm playing, and anybody who's listening to this podcast, take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you release air through your mouth on the out breath, you can make a little sound. And when you do the first breath on the exhale, feel your body just starting to let go of the tension just a little bit. And take a second deep breath in through your nose. And on the exhale, feel your thoughts that are all jibber-jabbering around you, just kind of going silent, just going quiet. And on the third breath, on your exhale, feel all of your feelings that are just swimming around you, and feel them all just slow down and stop for a little bit. And now enjoy the sounds.
Oh my. I have to go to a sound bath now.
Mm-hmm.
Listeners, I would love it if you would just send me a quick note and email and let me know what you felt, if you felt, what you thought. I grew up in a musical household. I started taking piano lessons, I think, at the age of 5. Took it for years and years and years. And then in school, eventually I played the clarinet. I dabbled with a flute, even played my girlfriend's trombone, taught myself the guitar. Music's always been a part of my life. But I have to say that though there was no melody, no specific melody I heard, although I did hear some, the feeling, the sensation, I just felt like my entire body was filled and almost pushing to enlarge itself or something. It was, and I'm struggling to really describe what I felt, but I sure didn't worry about anything for those moments. I didn't. I was focused on the sound. Okay, so you play intuitively. You
Mm-hmm.
had no conscious pattern in mind, perhaps,
No,
except you
no.
there were certain sounds that you wanted at certain times.
Yeah.
That experience, is that what a sound bath is like then for 30 minutes or an hour?
That is what a sound bath is like for 30 minutes to an hour. And it's actually the longer I play for, the better, because, you heard the crystal bowls, let's say, for maybe 20 seconds.
Okay.
And when I was playing, you might hear them for like 5 minutes,
Okay. All right.
during a sound bath. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, a sound bath of 30 minutes or an hour is like what you just experienced,
Oh my
only
gosh.
even better because it lasts for a whole hour.
Wow.
You know?
Okay. And sound healing can heal physical ailments as well, as I
Yes,
understand it. It's not
yes,
just
indeed.
emotions and thoughts. There are physical ailments that I know a lot of people have
Mhm.
mentioned that with sound baths or going to a sound healer specifically, they have
Yep,
been able to find relief. That has
yes,
really, really intrigued me in many, many, many ways.
yep.
Now,
Physical pain, sound baths are awesome for physical pain. I know a lot of people. I have a friend of mine and came over one day and we were in my studio and she had injured her foot. And I have a big singing bowl that I can put I don't do it much now because I play virtually, but I put her foot in the bowl. And anyway, so I did that. And then I play the bowl and it vibrates. So then the sound comes right up into your head, right? Like right up through
wow.
your body and through your feet. But you can feel the vibration too in your body.
Oh, wow.
And then I play a smaller bowl just sort of up around your head. And
Mm-hmm.
then I played, what you've heard. I played basically a little sound bath for her for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And her foot wasn't like miraculously cured, but it was much, much better.
Well, that's just it. Many times we're just looking for some relief.
Yeah. But what I didn't know was at the same time, she had some back pain and some hip pain, and it was gone by the
Mm-hmm.
end of, and I only played for 20 minutes and it was all gone and it never came back.
Wow. Yeah, and that's not the first time I've heard that. Does
Yeah.
it make a difference? I'm sure it makes some difference. If you can't find a sound bath or a sound healer local to you, now you
Yep.
do virtual.
Mm-hmm.
Is it better if it's in person, if you can do that?
Well, most people assume that it's better.
Okay.
If you are in person, you're a little bit more surrounded by the vibrations in the sense that the vibrations are going into your body through
Mm-hmm.
your whole body, through your skin,
Right.
not just through your ears. But I have clients who have been doing sound baths with me for years. And when I started to play virtually, because
Mm-hmm.
I had been ill during most of COVID and with cancer, but virtually is like they love virtually. And the reason that they love it, and sometimes they put it on like, a big TV speaker
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And sometimes they have the best thing is to have over the ear headphones because then
Right.
you're hearing all of the sounds, you hear all of the sounds,
Right.
and you're also feeling the vibration that's going into your
Right.
body,
Yeah.
through your jawbones and all that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and your ears. And my clients now seem like prefer the virtual. Anybody who's
Okay.
the ones who haven't tried it have got it stuck in their heads that it's better in person. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, it's nice to go.
Sure.
But you're so relaxed at the end of a sound bath that getting
Mm-hmm.
up and driving home or getting on the subway or whatever, or even talking, people don't even really want to talk after.
Yeah. I'd wonder
And
if
so
I
when-
would be able to drive afterward. you
well,
know?
when I was doing group sound baths in my old studio, and I could do, I think, up to about 6. So it was a very small group. Lots of them were private, some of them were just
Mhm.
open. But I play for maybe 50 minutes,
Mhm.
50, so like an hour sound bath. But the whole thing would take like 2 or 3 hours, because
Mhm.
getting everybody settled, and
Sure.
it was new for people, and
Sure.
and they wanted to know about the instruments, and then I would play, and then it
Mhm.
would, I would let them. And what I usually do when I do a sound bath is I let somebody rest in the silence.
Mhm.
And most of my sound baths, even the group ones, when I
Mhm.
stop playing, I don't talk,
Mhm.
because you're
Right.
still in that still point.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
when the sounds stop, actually, sometimes the best healing is in that silence.
In that silence.
Afterwards, before your mind starts jibber jabbering again, and
Yeah.
and the feelings start to kind of.
Yeah. I like that phrase, actually, resting in the silence. I really like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Sounds like the title for a book or a poem, actually. Okay. And one other advantage I can think of to doing it virtually, if I were to physically go to, say, a local sound bath, or, a sound
Mhm.
bath near me, I know I would be very apprehensive. This is out of my box. This is something I've never done before. And I would worry about, what are other people, are they going to look at me? Am I reacting strangely? But
Yeah.
if you're virtual, at least you have that privacy that you're not going to experience that. So I think for me, probably virtually, it would be exactly right.
And also for people, in particular, for things like grief. I mean, for
Uh-huh.
grief, like we were talking about before, like when you're grieving for the rest of your life, but when you're in the worst parts of
Yes.
grieving,
Oh, yes.
like you can't get up off your couch and come to my studio for a
Right.
sound bath, even
Mhm.
if I had enough room. You know what I mean? Or you're not going to,
Exactly.
like, when I'm in like deep grief, I don't want to go anywhere. Like, I just want to be on my
Of
couch.
course.
And so
Yeah.
the fact that you can just pick up, and lots of people even listen with their phone
Hmm.
and earbuds, which I
Hmm.
think, I think it's better sound quality if you have over ear, but still they love
Right.
it. And so when you're grieving, you can relax and do that letting go of your body and letting go of your mind.
Right.
The sounds and the vibrations will pull you towards that, but
Right.
you also have to allow it for yourself. Although I must say,
Right.
every single person I've ever played for has gone out. And I don't mean gone out like unconscious, but I mean gone into that deep space.
I would love to
And
experience that. I
so,
just,
yeah, well,
I
I'll
would
do one
love
for you.
that.
Right now, I'm actually doing, because talking about sound healing is really doesn't help people figure out that it might be good for them.
Hmm.
I do free sound baths for a first time. Like,
Oh my
I'll do
gosh.
you a 30-minute, you'll get a 30-minute of sound bath for free from me. And then
Well,
and then you can feel how it works, right?
oh my gosh, that's incredible. Well, I could go on and on. I could listen, I swear, all day long. But time is winding down, and I don't want it to get so close to that last minute. I want you to talk directly to our listeners and tell them what you can offer them. I know you mentioned you do sound baths. Do you do private healing sessions? This is your chance to talk to the listeners. And we do have listeners around the world. We have listeners in over 90
Nice.
countries around the world.
Cool. Yeah.
So, this is a chance for you to really reach your network far and wide and let them know.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Well,
Microphone's
there's
yours.
lots of ways. There's lots of ways to reach me. The thing that I would suggest for people is to go to my YouTube channel. And I've been doing a series of podcasts where I talk about sound healing. I've played for different issues. So you can watch me playing for about, 10 minutes. And I've got little short ones up there. So you
Mhm.
can actually make your own sound bath right now by making your own playlist
Pull them
with my
together.
little,
Yeah.
like if you want 10 minutes for grief and 10 minutes for loss and trauma and 10 minutes of joy to,
Okay.
counteract all of that
Yeah.
stuff, you can, and
What
just
is
make
the
them up.
name of your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is youtube.com/
Okay.
at Barb Sounds.
Okay.
All of my social media, if you Google Barb Sounds, all one word,
Okay.
BARBSOUNDS,
Okay.
you will find me. So and in my profile on the YouTube, I list all of my other social media. contacts.
Okay.
If you want to come to an open group, which is a little cheaper than an individual one,
Mm-hmm.
and again, you can come to an open group if that's what you want for free for the first one. You
Mm-hmm.
go to barbsounds.eventbrite.ca, and that you can buy tickets.
Okay. Nice.
For the free ones. And even if you're doing the free one, you still have to register
Right.
through Eventbrite. Right now I'm switching, my booking from one site to another, but really basically the best way to book something privately with me now for a session is to send me an email, which is barbsounds3@gmail.com.
Okay.
So barbsounds3@gmail.com, and just shoot me an email and say, hey, I want to try a 30-minute or something. And
yeah,
I'll set up, I do it on Zoom. So you have to have Zoom, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Well,
there's with everything, with every physical ailment, every emotional, mental health issue, and everything like that, there are numerous resources available to help you. And most of the time, what they're doing is alleviating the symptoms. So I I keep in mind, I have lower back issues that I've had chronic pain for years and years and years. And at this point, if there's something that isn't going to be painful to go through it, why would I not try it? Because with technology the way it is and science moving rapidly now through different research areas and everything like that, why not? I mean, we're discovering things that we never thought imaginable before, and they're working and they're helping. So the way I look at it, listeners, is if you just need a little bit of a curious distraction, why not give sound healing a chance? Like Barb says, there's a lot on YouTube that's available, with things she's put up and everything. Why not try it and then reach out?
When you try sound healing with me, and I can only speak for how I play because other people play very differently.
Right.
Because of the intuitive way that I play, and also the harmonic instruments, you can never play them exactly the same, even if you try. Like people keep asking, my host for my podcast keeps asking me, how do you know what to play? And I'm like, I don't think it. I follow the sound, and I stand up after playing one gong, and I just, whatever gong I look at next, I just go there. But if you have a sound bath with me, you will get the full energy and the full harmonics of all of my instruments just focused on you. When I'm playing with a bigger group, it's still very good. But if you're actually dealing with something severe, then it's better to do an individual one, because you get the energy completely all being sent to you, rather than being in a kind of general area. That's my sense of it. There might be other people who do sound healing who might disagree. But the other thing is that I would say to you listeners, like for me, the sound bath for you is like an embrace. It's like an embrace. It's just like you are like totally embraced in love and light and sound.
But what I felt was inside me. So it was like being embraced internally. I just felt like my insides were being embraced, not the traditional hug around the shoulders or something. I felt that tightness, that closeness, not pressure, but just that feeling of being surrounded. And I guess that's why they call it a bath, right?
Well, yes. Yeah, because a hot bath relaxes you, maybe not a cold bath. But sometimes people call it a sound meditation and various other things. But I think you're right. It is, because it is basically working with like all of your cells. And in particular, I think for people with grief and for physical pain too, like when you live with grief for a long time, you don't know what it feels like not to be with grief. And you don't know what your body feels like to relax, and you don't know what your mind feels like to relax, and you don't know what it feels like to have your feelings just all kind of settle down and not bombard you. And that's what you get for half an hour or an hour. You get to feel not something from outside of you going into your body. It's not like a foreign thing like that, but you get to feel like, how does like what you felt today is like, how does my body feel with no grief for that moment?
And I have a very busy mind, and I can try to meditate and my thoughts will interrupt my meditation, so it takes a lot of work. But I have to say, when you can focus on that sound and you can feel the frequencies, and I it's just those waves and the pulsation and everything like that. It's just, I love it. I need more. So I'm going to get more for myself. And I encourage all of my listeners to do the same. If you enjoyed it, even for a brief moment, what have you got to lose? You have nothing to lose by trying a little bit more. Immerse yourself in it. And hopefully it will help you.
Yeah.
On that note, I do have to wrap up. I do have to wrap up. So I think, Barb, I'm just going to have to ask you back for a second time.
Awesome.
Sometime in the near future, maybe around the holidays when grief is really, hitting people hard, that loss and everything. That might be a good time. But again, for now, thank you, Barb, so, so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I know it's just a few moments here and there, but man, I feel different. And I'm going to be in touch with you. We're going to set something up.
Excellent.
So to all the listeners out there, thanks for joining us again today. I hope you heard even for a few brief moments, something that gave you some relief. Remember to take care of yourselves. And I hope you all come back again next time as we all continue to live in grief.
Thank you so much for listening with us today. Do you have a topic that you'd like us to cover, or do you have a question from one of our episodes? Please email us at info@asiliveinGrieve.com and let us know. We hope you will find a moment to leave a review, send an email, and share with others. Join us next time as we continue to live and grieve together.